All right. Hello, DGH fans, and welcome again to Paranormal Experience 1917 Miami YMCA. God, that's a mouthful. In this paranormal experience, again, unlike any other paranormal experience here on YouTube, we will bring you highlights of our evidence from the YMCA paranormal investigation that we had. We're going to show you some clips from our investigation after the live stream ended, and we're going to have some fun along the way. Let's get started.
Yep.
On that lantern. Whoa.
So we also have this other game we like to play. You might remember Chad. He was in here with me. If you want to go tug on his shirt.
What? Is that a piano? Is there a piano here?
There it is.
Wow. Okay, you're putting on a show now. Do you just need Jason to come here? Feels like the tension is building up a little bit. It could just be the anticipation. But boy, we're starting to get a feel. Right on cue. Right on cue. All right. So everyone, welcome back to the third and final night of our live stream event down here in our road trip in Arizona. Jason and I were still in. All right. As I mentioned in this episode, we are going to carefully scrutinize each and every piece of evidence captured at the 1917 YMCA, the end of our Arizona road trip.
Yep.
With us, we have the doctors of the paranormal. That's Dr. Jason. You fully caffeinated with your Diet Coke?
Yes, sir.
I love it. I'm Dr. Chad, and we have the queens of the paranormal, Jamie, Ryan, and Sarah. Ladies, how are you?
Okay, good.
All right, good. What are you guys drinking tonight?
Bogle.
All right, very good. The ladies are going to be monitoring the chat. And again, just like always, we encourage you to join in on this experience. We are going to have a special giveaway at the end. Of course,
Yep.
A lucky commenter will win a mug prize pack from Dr. Ghost Hunters, which we're excited to share with everyone. But of course, our main goal here is to determine, is the evidence we captured paranormal, or is it perhaps something that could be scientifically explained away? You're going to help us determine that. In addition to us with this investigation, we will have someone that you will see on the screen, Roger. He was our docent for the night, and he was a part of Paranormal Group. He works with Vinny. They're a part of the same group that you may have seen on last week's show. But this time, Vinny took a back seat, and Roger joined us, so you're going to see him throughout the show as well. Jason, Yep. This is by far the most difficult edit that I have had. There is so much activity that everyone is about to see, both that you may have seen before during our live stream. And of course, for those of you who are subscribed to the channel and turn on notifications, you joined us for that live stream. But also after the cameras went down, we have evidence that to be honest, it was a press to get to this point to be able to deliver the episode on time, just because there's so much activity. I'm excited to show it to you as well.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Too much evidence.
It definitely is.
So, and again, for those of you who aren't joining live, be sure to sign up for notifications so you can join us live. We love having you on. Love to get your feedback, live and in real time. So be sure to sign up.
All right. I mentioned before the difficulty of this episode. So I want your help on scrutinizing the pieces of evidence. Unlike previous episodes, I have labeled some of the pieces of evidence for you to follow along with. You will see things like EVP number 1, EMF number 1. So if you want, go get your doctor pad and pen and write down what you think is going on as we go through the show, because at the end, we're going to put all those clips together and really go through some of those. And I think some of the pieces of evidence are really going to blow people's mind, to be honest. So this one should be a fun interaction. Of course, as you're writing them down, also put them in the comments and tell us what you think of those. This episode will be best viewed if you happen to have headphones and if you're in a dark room. But if not, don't worry. You're still going to have a good experience, because that's what we're here to bring you. All right, Jason, anything we're missing?
I don't think so. Let's get into it.
All right. Now let's sit back and join us as we jump into the 1917 YMCA. And I are here tonight in Globe, Arizona at the 1917 YMCA. This magnificent building, built over 100 years ago, used to house miners who were working just up the hill in the mines, checking out silver and copper in the area. But of course, this place was also open to kids with a pool table, and all sorts of festivities, and really a wonderful building that we have right here in the downtown area of Globe, Miami, Arizona. The local mines and previous mining activity is notable and should be remembered as we go through our paranormal investigation. In this map, you can see all purple areas were once mining areas, and the YMCA sits directly on top of this. Directly behind the YMCA is a massive FMI smelting office and blending plant. Still appears to be functional today. Reports of activity here are wild, including full-body apparition captures, but also children playing mostly upstairs in the gymnasium. Very active with equipment, and footsteps can be heard running down the corridor.
You see, it's got lights on it, come over here by the black stick. Okay, so that's not going to hurt you, but that's something that you might be able to play with. I prefer Vinny. That's okay with you. Take a break, just play with this. Come by that. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Did something bad happen to you? Do you want to hurt us? Are you scared of us? Are you angry? What happened to you? I feel you.
We're going to get some of this stuff out of the way for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Cool. Yeah. Hi there. Thank you. Did you like, I guess you did. Did you like playing hide and seek before?
Now, in our investigation tonight, we have trail cams set up trying to catch one of these full-body apparitions. There are no reports of known deaths to have occurred inside of the YMCA, so we're not entirely sure why it's haunted. But with that being said, we hope to get some of the interaction from the children's spirits that are here. We've got all of our gear set up inside. Let's go ahead and begin. Set up our equipment, we introduced ourselves to the spirits, we told them how to utilize the equipment. All the same gear that you've seen before. We've got our REM pod set up, we have our electromagnetic field tripwire that will go off if there is any fluctuations in electromagnetic field. That's the one that looks like the rope up here on the stage that you'll see shortly. We have cat balls that are set off. Now these are lights, so if something hits it, those lights are gonna go off. We have those set up on the stage as well. We're getting some activity right as we begin with our parallel. This senses detection in electromagnetic field and will change color if there is a fluctuation. You can see it from right here. So with that stage being set, as you can see here, let's show them one more thing, Jason. Up above the stadium here, we have a ledge and a balcony where we can see that kids and even parents used to be able to watch performances. Roger has told us that there have been reports of these kids upstairs seeing shadows peek up over the edge and then dart back behind into the dorm back there. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get any interaction from the spirits up here on the stage. Hello. Jason and I are back. We introduced ourselves earlier. We want to know if any of the children or any of the spirits here have had a chance to get accustomed to the equipment that we set up that we told you about. So is there anybody here with us? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Yeah. Well, thank you for saying hi to us. It sounded like you were in the back of the gym. Please come forward up here and to the front. We have our devices set up. Did you figure out how to use any of these lights and make them go off? And if so, can you show us and put on a performance? Yeah, that's great. All the way up to green. Yeah, good job. I tell you what, there's most of the colors of the rainbow on that. Test it out and show me which one's your favorite. I'm gonna come up a little bit closer, but don't be afraid. Can you do it again? I'll back up a little bit. How about this? If there are any kids that are up on the stage, on the count of 3, I want you to light up as high as you can go. 1, 2, 3. As high as you can make it go. Whoa, that was great. Got our first hit over here on the REM pod too.
You touch those purple ones. Oh, good. If there's someone up on stage, feel free to keep pushing those lights. If there's someone up on stage, feel free to keep pushing those lights. Good job. Keep pushing that lantern. So we also have this other game we like to play with the lights, or without the lights. You might remember Chad, he was in here with me. He's now in the hallway. If you want to go tug on his shirt, or touch his shoulder, he likes that game. He's coming back in the room, but if you still want to do that, he'd appreciate it. So it sounds like we've seen a couple of orbs.
Oh,
Up.
there you go.
It's back.
Getting lots of reports of orbs going back. It is dusty back here. Okay, so that I saw. I think that was just dust, the one that just came across the screen. Good. I don't know what to make of this. I mean, okay.
Jeff, I'm getting K2.
Now, we do know that there is that tower outside, and perhaps that could be interfering with this.
That's where the tower is?
But then why wouldn't these other devices be going off? Sorry guys, we're just trying to debunk some of these things. We want to make sure what we're getting is real, so.
There's like one green thing. One green light.
And then this stops. Okay, so while Jason continues to work on the K2 and he's looking into figuring out this EMF. What? Is that a piano? Is there a piano here?
There's 2 pianos downstairs.
That just was a note. This EMF. What? This EMF. What? Was it not?
Like a,
I don't know.
But did you hear it?
I heard something. Digital audio was in the hallway, so.
Did people in the chat hear that? Let's be quiet just for a moment and see what we hear. Feels like the tension in here is building up a little bit. It could just be the anticipation, but boy, we're starting to get a feel. Right on cue, right on cue. So right out of the gate, Jason, you can kind of see why I said this was a tough edit, because there's just activity potentially coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
I want to start with that piano note. Very difficult to hear on here because I'm talking over it. But in real time, all 3 of us noted that there was a piano note. That enhanced audio doesn't do it justice, but that was very interesting. And so don't really know what to make of that. The footsteps, we didn't hear them in real time. And I froze the photo and it's really difficult to see because it was so dark in there, but you and Roger were standing still as those footsteps were going.
Yeah.
Just creepy.
Yep.
You really tried to debunk the EMF, and I love that. Does anything stand out in your mind during the investigation about the magnetic field there?
I guess just the fact that it wasn't consistent. Like I would expect that to have a consistent pattern, you know, either ups and downs relatively quickly or a continuous thing. The fact that when we started, there wasn't a lot of activity.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly there was a lot of activity. And this was 8 or 9 at night. So you'd think there'd be a fair amount of activity coming from a cell tower.
Right.
So I go back and forth. I think we need to spend some time around a cell tower and see how it affects EMF.
I really think we do. We were talking about that before the show, and I think that's a great idea. I think this is a perfect clip, honestly, for Jamie. With you being a bit more skeptical of these things, does anything in that clip that I just showed you stand out as being potentially paranormal?
Well, Sarah and I were just talking about the footsteps that you heard. It was interesting that the footsteps didn't sound like your guys' footsteps when you were walking around the room. When you guys were walking around, it was very squeaky, like a typical old wooden floor sounds like. Mm-hmm. But in the video, it sounds like something you would hear in a movie, kind of, you know, like how they have a background footstep sound. Like that's what it sounds like. So that was kind of weird. Yeah.
You know, that's a fantastic point. And of course, I didn't go in and add that post like that. That's not edited by me. But interestingly, we didn't note it during the time that it happened.
No.
Out of all the things that we heard, we didn't hear it. And that's one of the most clear pieces that we had in this first segment. Mm-hmm. Jamie, what do you make of the EMF spikes?
Yeah,
there was a cell tower right behind it, but I guess some of it was so consistent. Other times it seemed to be so directed at our questions. Does that do anything for you?
I don't know. Not really, but I mean, it is unusual, but we've seen that before where they've just gone off for seemingly no reason. We've powered them down, turned them back on, and it kept doing it. So we've seen that happen before when they weren't going off at all for the first half hour. So it's unusual. Yes.
And Sarah, you were monitoring this live while it happened. After seeing this footage, does anything stand out to you one way or the other?
No. What's something we're talking about?
Okay. All right. Well, as we move along in the investigation, Jason, any final words on that first clip?
No, again, I just would have expected, had it been the cell tower, to have more consistency or more of a pattern and it didn't have that.
Yeah. The pattern that I did pick up on just a little bit as I was going through editing, it almost seems like there are times that if I leave the room, the EMF stops. We're going to see more of that right now. The event began. We set up our equipment. We introduced ourselves to the spirits. We told them how to utilize the equipment.
Someone tried it. It sounds like someone's trying. You just can't quite make out the words. So? Well, we really want to communicate with you. You say no? Is that like? Do you not want to communicate with us? Could be your name. Can you tell us your name? Where are you from? Was the food here terrible? Once again.
Yep. Once again, we're here. Can you tell Jason your name? Or how old you are?
His.
His. Do you want to tell me his age?
Good. Kid.
Okay, you're a kid. How old are you?
14.
Okay, you're 14.
About.
About 14, so you're almost 14. Okay. Well, did you learn to swim here? I know a lot of people did. I've actually met 2 generations of people who learned how to swim here.
Across.
Did you swim across the pool?
Surprised.
Was it your first time? Is that why?
I know.
Well, good job. That's great. So do you want to tell us your name? You've told us your backstory. I know a lot of people come here and asking for names, but we want to know yours.
All right, so you've been doing a fantastic job playing with the equipment up here on stage, and you don't have to stop now that Jason's up there. So first of all, if you look up here at Jason, you can see he's got a little bit of dust on this knee. At any point during this, I want you to go up and touch his knee. Just touch right up there, okay?
The holiday.
The holiday? Tell us. Where is that coming from? There's footsteps. Can you tell me your name?
Mike.
Wow. How about this? Are you okay if we learn a little bit more about you? First of all, how many of you are here?
You look at.
I can't see you. That's the problem. So can you tell me how many are here? I'm trying really hard to look. I just can't see you.
Scared.
Am I scared? Is that why I can't see you? Would you be less afraid if I turned off the light? How about I'll turn it down? There.
When it comes.
When it comes? How about this? I turned it down just a little bit. Is that better?
Medium.
Tell me more about medium. Is it medium light? You know, one of my friends is a medium. She's watching right now.
Impressive.
It is impressive. Can you tell me her name?
Intelligent.
Can you tell me her name? I would be impressed if you did that.
Happy.
Happy or happening? Look in that hallway. The motion detector's going off. No, we can't see.
Replacing windows.
Whoa, the whole thing is lit up.
It was going that way.
Replacing it. Sorry guys, all sorts of activity. The camera that's offline. Boy, it's lighting up like a Christmas tree in there. So wait, the medium.
Wellness.
Guys, we're getting
11.
We're getting back and forth. Are you jumping back and forth? Between... Are you out in the hallway and then out here as well?
You did 2 more times just as that went on.
Who's out in the hallway?
Right now.
Right now you're out in the hallway? Guys, this is so much. I don't even know where to point. Okay.
I'm not.
You're not? Are you a trickster? Where did you go? Let's have you come back in here. I think you went out into that. Whoa. Okay. So, guys, the activity that we're getting out in the hallway is incredible. I'm gonna hand this off to Roger just for a moment. I'm gonna go fix that camera. There's someone out in that hallway, and they're jumping back and forth. Yes. Okay. I'll take that. If you can take that one. Okay. Guys out in the hallway. Either coincidence or the spirits are completely playing with us. The battery is completely drained on the motion detector that we saw going off, and the iPad is no longer connecting to any hotspot, which is why it's offline. Just so I can be at the same time. A game? Maybe it is a game. Oh boy, that was a whole lot. And Jason, I very much love when you do an S-Day session, but damn it, I needed you to slow down. I could not keep track. It just being there in the moment. You were obviously up on the stage. All the way on the other side of the gymnasium is the hallway where earlier in the video, we saw the capture of that full body apparition on the trail cam.
Yeah.
And we just heard so many things going on. It's probably one of the first times on an investigation where I just didn't know where to look, where to point a camera.
Yeah.
Do you recall having any feeling up there?
Yeah, I didn't have any feeling. I obviously was saying the words, hearing that through the spirit box, but no, I did not realize how good that evidence was.
It really was good. And, you know, as far the interaction about the medium was interesting. You know, we had a viewer. I don't know if she said publicly that she feels she's a medium, so we'll keep that quiet. But we had a viewer who was there commenting and was commenting during the case. And we said that, and we seemed to get an intelligent response immediately back after that. And so that to me stood out as quite notable. I don't know if I could fully capture from the 2 cameras that we had the chaos that was going on. Jamie and Sarah, what do you guys think about the last segment that we just saw?
It was chaotic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was chaotic, and it's too bad because I would have loved to have had specific pieces of evidence captured with one camera at a time so I could show everyone that, but I do think it captures the chaos of what was going on.
Yeah, and it gives you a sense for what that experience is like when there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So it's not great for YouTube, but
Right.
in the moment, that's kind of what that experience is.
Yeah. And, when we do these things that aren't live, like our videos last year, of course, you can go check those out all throughout YouTube. If you haven't done so, go subscribe and check out our videos afterwards. Of course, like this one while you're at it. But in those, there can be an hour that goes by where we don't get anything, but you just don't see that because it's an edited video. But here it was just complete chaos.
Yeah. It somewhat reminds me of Petite Neat when we had the SLS going and the G2 and, you were having sensations, chest pain. And so just a lot going on.
It's funny here on the camera, you say it's chest pain. When the camera turns off, you tease me that it's the cookies I eat, the fried chicken I eat.
Well, chest pain can be related to those. There's Wegovy now, so.
Yes. We might get muted for that. All right. So that is kind of leading up to right where the live stream investigation ended. Now, that's not where the evidence ended. Despite it being our third night in a row of investigating, it was freezing cold inside of there. Yeah. We kept going and we captured some things as well.
Yep. Again,
if you have headphones, throw them on for this part. Ladies, you ready to see the post live stream footage? Sarah's been talking about this all week. She's like, I can't wait to see what you guys captured. I wake up in the middle of the night, I roll over. She's just looking at me. She's like, will you show me that footage now? Honey, here you go. You remember, you just go right on up to it and touch it, and it'll go off. We've got green and orange and blue and purple. Can you show me what your favorite color is?
That was on this floor.
Yeah, it definitely sounded like it was on this floor. Boy, that was loud. Are we getting some people working their way in here? It's us. I put on a beanie from earlier, so you don't have to be afraid. I'm not anyone new. I just got cold. Hey, there we go. Wow. Wow. That's great. There you go. Boy, you sure decided that it was time to light that up. Whoa. Are you doing this too? Okay. You moved away from the REM pod, which is good. Let's see how high you can make this one go up. I'm going to turn this light away a little bit. Wow. Jason's going to hold this in his hand. You can speak with him through this. I'm going to go grab the SLS. Okay. And see if we can get. So I didn't bring that case up. If you, Roger, if you guys want to chat, certainly me calling it out certainly didn't seem to.
Yeah. So Chad's going to run down and get some other equipment. Oh, you're not doing the Paralamp anymore. Are you sad that Chad's going?
Are you coming with me?
You can go with him if you want. Was that you that scared Chad?
You did spook me. Come with me, though. I'm sorry I jumped. You just startled me.
Chad likes that guy.
Really, guys, just amazing to see how quickly these spirits can move. The activity that we had earlier with the REM pod, with responses, and with sounds was just incredible. Well, now it's died down, so we're going to see if we can move around and find them.
You want to play hide and seek? Somebody's a fair tag. Hopscotch? Is it outside? A lot of talking. Somebody's a fair tag. Hopscotch? Is it outside?
Nobody outside?
Nope, nobody within range. I heard talking.
It sounded like to me like it came from back there.
Do we want to go back to the whistle room?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the tripwire?
Yeah. Come on, kids, we're gonna go to a different area. Can you grab the red clock as well?
Yeah. Where is it? I got it. It's right there.
So, down this hallway, which we've had trail cams set up on, we'll review those later, is often where we hear whistles and where earlier tonight we've been hearing all sorts of commotion. Let's see if we can pick anything up here. I'm Chad, this is Jason, and we're with Roger. And we would love to chat with you. We'd love to have you give us a sign of your presence. And if any of the kids that are here, we're even happy to play games with you. We've got those lights set up in the hallway. You can go touch them to make them change color. Or that red light, you can go touch it and all the lights will light up. So to let us know that you're here, we want to hear you, or we want you to go touch one of those lights. We also heard that you can whistle. We'd love to hear you whistle now. So we're going to give you some silence. This is your time to shine.
I heard whistling.
That was a whistle, wasn't it?
It was a whistle.
Was that from in here? Or was it outside?
Again, I didn't see anybody outside. And the closest place, they're closed up tight across the street, so.
Boy, it did sound like a whistle.
I heard a whistle. I was like, oh.
All right, so that was either a whistle or the spirit of the undead Ric Flair behind that place. It is tricky to hear with this, but it was a whistle, which was so bizarre. I think that's the first time on command we have had a voice come through that we believe to be a spirit, and just right on through. We heard it with our own ears.
Yep, that's one where we heard both with our ears and caught on tape.
Yeah, and Chrissy from Paranormal Misfit podcast, which if you haven't listened to her podcast, go check it out now and subscribe. The question's great. Did you all investigate to see what made the noises? So there were a few of them. Now, to directly respond to the question, the whistle and the talking outside, we were up on the second floor of the building. Now, each of those areas do have windows that look directly out. And so the extent of looking for those was simply looking out the windows to see if anyone was there. Now, directly behind the YMCA, which is where the whistle would have come from, was the area of that large mining plant that we saw. So there really wouldn't be anyone at all back there. It's kind of their out in front is their main street of Miami, Arizona, but it is not a happening place. Like there's not anything going on.
Yeah, and back in that corner where we were, like Chad said, there was on one side the field with the mine, but the other side of that corner was a dead end street because it goes right up into the fence where that mine is. So there really shouldn't have been anyone there anyway, just walking by.
And nowhere for anyone to go either. We would have been able to hear them walking out. Going back to earlier, Jason, Chad does not like that game. Chad does not like the game where ghosts go up and touch him and pull on him like that. That's not a thing. But I do want to make a comment, and I pointed this out on there. Those lights were going off for so many consecutive minutes that I really feel was the cell tower next door. However, I can't explain why that would come and go. But it wasn't until I walked away, those lights stop. And immediately after they stop, I audibly hear a footstep right next to me so loud that even Roger stops what he's doing and turns to me and said, "Was that a footstep right next to you?"
Yeah. I think you have a spirit secret admirer.
That one scared me. Like that one rattled me. I'm walking out like, what? But so many noises that were going on inside of there. I don't know that we ever heard something that sounded like the building settling or changing because of temperature fluctuation with it getting colder at night.
No. And with that building being over 100 years old, you think any settlement would happen because they haven't added on that building for decades.
Yeah. Jamie, the whistle. Could you hear the whistle?
Yes.
What do you think of the whistle?
I don't know. I don't know what I think of it, but I heard it.
Sarah, Ric Flair or Spirit?
Ric Flair.
I knew that's where you would go. I'm proud of you.
Maybe it was a spirit whispering or whistling at you.
Yeah. The same one that followed me out.
Yeah.
Maybe I do have an admiring globe. I'll have to go back there. We just passed Valentine's Day. I should have sent flowers. So lots of activity that happened. And again, very similar to the jail. It got to a point in the night, we were just exhausted. And from 3 straight days of investigating, the activity continued, but we just stopped.
Yeah. And you'll get a sense for how exhausted we were when we post a short for our after investigation activity. We'll call it that.
Yeah. If you do want to get a sneak peek what goes on before and after these investigations, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube. Go check out our shorts. We've been trying to post more of those. I really walk the fine line of how much can I post as Dr. Ghost Hunter and not crossing over into the world of like, oh yeah, I'm actually a physician during the day. And like, I want to be mindful about how idiotic I make myself seem. So I try to balance that. All right. So let's get back into this. We just showed you a whole bunch of evidence. We labeled some of those clips. Now what I want to do is go back and we're going to review some of those pieces very specifically. Let's go ahead and get those pulled up now. We're going to stay on stage for this one. So Jamie and Sarah, don't go anywhere.
Maybe there was a madam that followed you.
Maybe there was. We'll see if this one plays. I'm going to come up a little bit closer, but don't be afraid. I don't know there's a lot to scrutinize with the EMF. Can you do it again? Just how on demand it was, which stood out.
Back up a little bit.
Well, we're just going to
about this. If there are any kids that are up on the stage, on the count of 3, I want you to light up as high as you can go. 1, 2, 3. As high as you can make it go. Whoa, that was great. We had our first hit over here on the REM pod too.
Jamie's point about the footsteps were very good. You could very clearly hear the.
So we also have this other game we like to play with the lights, or without the lights. You might remember Chad. He was in here with me. He's now in the hallway.
You must
want to go tug on his shirt or touch his shoulder.
It's an interesting use of.
He likes that game.
Let's see again, like right on command. It doesn't.
He's coming back in the room, but if you still want to do that, he'd appreciate it. So it sounds like we've seen a couple of orbs.
Oh, that was when I came back in, almost like they were following me.
Yeah. And you think if it was the tower, it would be triggering both of them to some extent.
Right.
The paralamp wasn't being triggered.
And we had no walkies. Okay, we'll be quiet for this one. Here's an EVP.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
No.
I think So let's pause that one for a second. That's got to be an owl, right? I mean, it sounded like an owl. In real time, we thought it was a spirit, but I think that's why it's an owl. And that's why midweek I'm texting you as I'm editing through this. I'm like, I don't know what the hell to do with this evidence. Like, some of the evidence is so good. And then other times the stuff that we swore really thought was something, was not.
Yeah. Well, and Roger had said that there had been pigeons and some other birds nesting in that building. So it's very possible an owl could have been up there.
Yeah, it's true. Deputy Dog with the comment about the princess sleep mask. Now, there is a story about the princess sleep mask. How about this? Once we get to the 1 year mark of Dr. Ghost Hunters, then I really feel like we have a strong relationship. I'll share the moments of my princess eye mask story with you guys. Chrissy comments on the owl. Let's go ahead and throw that one up there. My mistake, Sarah, as you're managing that. It's a toss-up between an owl hoot or even a hum. Yeah, it could have been a hum. In real time, that's what we felt like we heard. And that one's really tricky. And like I said earlier, not to belabor the point, but that's one of the ones that really had me on the edge of this place haunted or not. It's because of things like that. But let's go ahead and continue with our next EVP. I think.
You touch those purple ones. Oh, good. There's someone up on stage. Feel free to keep pushing those lights.
Oh,
There's someone up on stage. Feel free to keep pushing those lights. There's someone up on stage. Feel free to keep pushing those lights. Lantern in the REM pod. There's someone up on stage. Feel free to keep pushing those lights. Lantern in the REM pod.
All right. Jamie, Sarah, let's take yourselves off mute. Jamie, thoughts?
Yeah, that was Jason
whispering.
And he said REM pod very clearly.
You even said lamp and REM pod in there. Do you remember that at all?
No.
I mean, that one worried me, man. Like, that's a legit whisper.
I should be ashamed.
Whispering.
No whispering, my man.
Fortunately, my yellow card was 2 videos ago, so it doesn't carry over.
Yeah, now, not so fast. The player does not decide the yellow cards. If I do recall the beginning of Paranormal Experiences, Jamie, we put you in charge of the yellow cards. Jamie, what do we have here?
So far, just the one. You want to so the ruling,
Yes. On the yellow card is
So this is Jason's second yellow card that he has had.
But
are we looking at this
if we
becoming
play
a red
soccer
card?
rules, then we're a whole new game because it's a whole new location. So this is his first yellow card
At that location.
at this location.
We have a very fine official here.
Jamie, fair enough. I think there's going to be yellow card accumulation at some point here during the season. Jason,
Yeah,
I know
he
you
does
never,
it twice at one location.
Yeah.
yeah, Jason, I know you would never do that on purpose.
I escaped a red card, but I'm still ashamed.
Yeah, I thought
I
we
know
had
better.
a killer EVP.
I know better than that.
All right, let's go ahead.
Good job. Keep pushing that lantern.
This one is another EVP. Okay, there's that throw. You and I talked about what it said. Don't say anything. Girls, did you hear? I led a little bit. There's a bit of lead time leading up to it, but I tried to time it out there with the type. Could you guys hear it?
Is it right after it finishes beeping? And then it's right after that at the end?
I believe so. Yes, it is towards the end.
I can't tell what it is. It doesn't sound like words or anything. It sounds like a rustling sound to me.
Or like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I really thought, honestly, it sounds like someone saying chips.
Yeah.
Chips. I don't know why they would say chips, but when I heard it, I immediately was like, oh, why did they say chips? It's like a really high chips.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of wee.
Yeah, kind of
Something like
like a
that.
wee. I could see that high pitched and then come back down. So that one, I don't know what to make out of. I thought was much more of an EVP than the possible owl, however, could have been a hum. So that one was of note. All right, let's continue on. Good thing about this, I've edited so much this week, I have no clue what's coming up. So here we have the classic black screen. The orbs. So many comments on the orbs. This was the live stream footage. All right, so that was number one. Let's actually
lots
play
of
through
reports of
a few
orbs
more of
going
these. And we'll
back.
talk about the orbs.
It is dusty back here. Okay, so that I saw. I think that was just dust, the one that just came across the screen.
So that wood is not white. That's covered in dust,
Yeah.
which is why I show this clip. But also, this was a different camera and showed no orbs. Now, watch as I walk by, I show this. So kicking up potential dust, and you'll see it go berserk on the IR.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the rest of the time, which I didn't show everyone, we got 45 minutes of this camera being still, and there's nothing that goes through there.
Yeah.
These ones don't have the trailing tail that people saw on the live stream, but it's a different camera. And I honestly think that it was the poor Wi-Fi inside of there that left the stream. At least was my thought of this. Here's just another picture of showing well after I've walked away, no orbs going through there. Apparently I had to belabor that point with the editing. And here's one that just has me scratching my head. No movement, yet we see orbs floating around.
Yeah.
Especially that one on the bottom.
We were downstairs in the pool.
Yeah, that's a good orb.
That's just a little bit ago.
The holiday.
This one's a little bit more difficult to see. It's going to be up
Tell us.
left to right. And there it goes.
Where is that coming from? There's footsteps.
Okay, so that is the end of that part of the evidence. Let's go ahead and take that off. Ladies, I want to talk about the orbs. This is, again, part of why I was so confused about the investigation. I think some of that is so, in my mind, can be clearly dismissed when we were up on the stage, but the other ones, I'm not so sure. Sarah, let's start with you. As I watch paranormal shows and I show you things, you're usually with orbs pretty quick to point out like, hey, there's another logical explanation for this. What did you make out of those clips that we just saw?
dust.
Do you feel like dust was the same for all of them, despite the fact that they looked different on all three examples that I showed?
Dust or bugs.
Yeah.
I just
There weren't bugs there. It definitely was cold. I didn't notice any bugs.
Yeah,
but
there were
dust.
no bugs
okay.
that we could see.
Yeah, that we could see, exactly.
I guess I've always kind of felt like orbs are interesting because I can't explain them, but it seems like they show up more in areas where it's really dusty and isn't cleaned a lot. And I'm not like, ooh, it's dirty. Like just it's been sitting and no one's been there, so there's dust.
And I really think that point, Sarah, you're spot on. That point's illustrated when I had the IR camera pointed in and then I walked out and you just see everything stir up. Like I stated earlier that maybe something was walking around following me, but I mean, not that many things, right? Would have been there. That would be very unlikely to be the case. We did see an orb in a video last week with our viewer submission, right? And that one, was very clearly different than what we saw here. I feel like that was an orb. I'm not so sure about these things. Jamie, thoughts on those?
Yeah, I mean, they all just kind of look like dust to me. Like, I don't feel like they moved in a certain way that was unlike just dust floating or settling.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think that part of it, it does show the challenge of a live stream investigation where we do depend on Wi-Fi to be able to broadcast this. Now, Globe is about 90 minutes east of Phoenix, and it's rural, like it's a mining town, and the Wi-Fi wasn't great, which is why I thought that during the investigation, we had so many comments from those of you who were subscribed and watched our live stream. I think it was because of the Wi-Fi. I really do. So very good. Now, we've seen the 2 investigation breakdowns from the live stream. We've seen the post-investigation evidence. We've gone through some very specific evidence review. Let's get to a diagnosis of this place. This one I'm so curious about, more so than others. I've been texting you guys all week about my frustration and not knowing about this place. Ladies, I'm going to start with you and give your thoughts about diagnosis. And while I pad for you to think about that just for a second, again, the most challenging edit, I could have played another 40 minutes of lights going off and of different sounds that were there, but it just was very, very challenging. Sarah, let's start with you. Diagnosis of the 1917 Miami-Arizona YMCA.
I think if it is haunted, there's like, it's residual, it's not intelligent.
Okay. Fair enough. Any one piece of evidence that makes you lean that way?
No, I mean, I just thought it was interesting that like stuff would go off and then not go off. And maybe it was like, sometimes seemed like it was responding. And that just makes me think that like a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's just a lot of energy floating around that it,
No, that's a great point. And the inconsistency in responses, some of the things that could be debunked, but also some things that couldn't be, I think would all lead to that being a very valid possible option for a diagnosis of a residual haunt. There are also thoughts that residual haunts seem to be more promoted by earth metals and water, and certainly in mining towns where they have those things, we could certainly see where that would be the case. Jamie, on a scale of haunted, with haunted being 10 out of 10 and haunted being 10 out of 10, where do you fall on the 10 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 scale?
Well, I don't think it's haunted, but I think that this, because of the activity and how unusual it was, where you had a lot of time where nothing happened and then all of a sudden everything happened, to me, it makes me more curious to go back and see it for myself. So it's hard to give a diagnosis for something that I wasn't there to participate in and to feel it and experience it. But it'd be cool to go back and see if that happens again, and maybe at a different time of the day or something like that.
Right. I do think it would be another place that would be great to have both of you there for all of those reasons. Jason, let's turn to you.
So this was interesting because there was a lot of activity and responses that seemed to be on cue, footsteps, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of activity that I think points to it being haunted. It didn't have the creepy feeling that some places have. So from like a, I guess, data standpoint, I would say there's something there. Yeah. From being there and kind of the feelings while we're investigating, it didn't feel like the jail or some of the other places we've been, but I think there's definitely something there.
Yeah. And for me, from a diagnostic standpoint, I think Sarah changed my mind a bit. Sometimes for me, it can be a bit more difficult as I'm in it editing and trying to put the pieces together. I think there are 2 diagnoses here. I think that there is a cell tower behind the building that contributed to some of the very high spikes in magnetic field. I think that there could be wildlife outside that could have caused some of the sounds that we heard, but there are also things in there that I cannot explain. And despite our attempts to debunk, and everyone here who is watching and typing in the comments, that we can explain. And so the 2 diagnoses for me is that, yeah, there's some surrounding things that contribute to it, but there's also probably a residual haunt that's there as well.
Yeah. And we're planning to do a ghost lab around a cell tower just to see if we can see any consistent sort of patterns or things that may explain this, or is it just consistent? Like it's always running, and so any sort of patterns, or something out of the ordinary. So stay tuned for that.
Our ghost labs are really a fun spot, and Jason kind of came up with this as part of our channel. You can go back and watch some of these videos where we take pieces of equipment and we try and dissect it and see what will trigger it. That's a part of our everyday lives that we may not see as being paranormal. So please go ahead and check those out. And again, we'll try and do one on just that. Yeah. But we want to hear from you. Part of this and the reason we do these paranormal experiences is to get you engaged. And I think this is a perfect example to figure out and hear from more people what your thoughts were on the YMCA experience. Is this place haunted? Does it have a residual haunt? Or is there something else that could be accounting for all of these things? So please make sure, type those things in the chat. And again, if you haven't done so already, please make sure if you've liked what you've seen so far, you go ahead and like the video. Yep. All right. Well, we got a few more pieces of housekeeping to take care of. Before we do that, guys, anything else that you want to say about the YMCA before we move on?
Just thank you, Roger and Vinny, for a great trip down to Arizona and for help setting that up.
Yeah, they really were fantastic. And speaking of them, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move you to the side here just for a second. We do want to remind people of the Ghosts of Globe Paracon coming up. Now, this was put on by the Paranormal Group, where Vinny from last episode, Roger from this episode, they are putting on a Paracon in Globe. So I tell you what, if you've liked what you've seen today and you say, hey, I want to investigate that place for myself, or you liked what you saw last week with the jail, these places, 5 minutes from each other, super simple access. You can book them for your own private paranormal investigation through their link. And you want to go check them out. Oh, you want to have a Paracon to go with it? Go check out their Paracon as well. Ghosts of Globe Paracon. You see the website right up here. Now, speaking of which, we did get to be did befriend these guys a little bit, at least in a paranormal sense, and I would think in a real life sense as well. After speaking with Vinny, he makes some of this equipment that you've seen the last couple of weeks. You can find them at Ghost Hunters Outlet and checking out their website. Tell you what, he set us up that if you want to have 10% off, use discount code DGH for Dr. Ghost Hunters. That DGH will get you 10% off your gear. He's got some pretty good stuff too.
He does have some cool stuff.
We bought a couple of items since the time we last investigated, and we are super excited to use them. But again, Ghost Hunters Outlet for the paranormal equipment, all put on by the same group. But Jason, that new gear that we got, we've got a place to use it here coming up here pretty soon. We have a investigation coming up here in just a couple of weeks, right here at the end of March, that you can join us for it, a live investigation, what we believe is the most haunted building in all of Utah. It's Petite Meat in Payson. Heard of Payson? No? Well, neither had we until we went down there, and we've lived here our entire lives. Yeah. This building, we believe, has the most haunted artifact. We've already had a couple of videos on this. We're going to go back, and your favorite 4 Dr. Ghost Hunters will be down there. We would love to have you join the live stream. It's going to be right about 8 o'clock Mountain Time, 10 o'clock Eastern on March 30th. Set your reminder right now. Go onto our page. You can turn on the notification so that you're there. Send it to all your friends. Join in the activity. And I promise you, when we are in that room, if you have questions that you want to ask the spirit and you say, like, gosh, I've never really got out on my own, or I haven't had a chance to go investigate, let us be your vessel. That's what the comments, that's what the chat are for. And we would love to have you. Sarah does a great job of navigating that, as she's done all this episode as well.
Yep. And for those of you that saw the last video and, Chad had the experience where he had some chest pain, this time we'll be starting him on a statin right now. So we're controlling for the chest pain. So watch for that.
That's what we're here to do. Right? I mean, we call ourselves doctors and doctors of the paranormal. We are here to set controls. I will not be eliminating sugar or anything else unhealthy from my diet until then. You cannot take that from me, but that is what we've got. Now, we mentioned Sarah doing just a killer job. Let's bring her back on the stage here. We teased at the beginning one of these lovely DGH mugs. Let me take you off mute. Nope, Sarah, we got to have you unmute yourself. This Dr. Ghost Hunter mug that we have here. Of course, the other side actually has the lovely logo, but is blacked out by our green screen here. For our top commenter of the episode, Sarah, who do you got that we're going to ship out one of these DGH mugs to?
Chrissy from Paranormal Misfit podcast.
Yeah, Chrissy, you've been so fantastic. Not only this episode, but also joining us in some of the other episodes, despite the fact that at the jail, if I'm not mistaken, you may have asked one of the ghosts to come up and tug on my jacket. I will never forget that. I have a brain like an elephant, especially when it comes to revenge. So, Chrissy, congratulations on that mug. So I tell you what, guys, this concludes our Arizona road trip paranormal experience. I want to hear from each and every single one of you in the comments now or in the comments when this gets posted to our channel. Do you like the paranormal experience? Do you like having us here to review this with you? Or would you rather us just edit the video after the live stream and post it?
Yeah.
To be honest, we have an absolute blast when we do these things. We get together, we have dinner, we talk about all the comments that you all leave. We have an absolute blast doing this, but we want to know what is best for you. And of course, Sarah gets to enjoy some wine on stage. And Jamie as well. So please let us know how you want to see us proceed. Last thing before we wrap up here, guys, I think the next 4 months, we will have a live investigation to bring to people and either a video or a paranormal experience to follow. Petite Eats our only return location so far. And we've got some doozies lined up for you guys that we are super excited for. Have you guys ever stayed at a haunted mansion? Maybe we'll have one coming up in a couple of months.
Yeah.
48-hour live stream sound good to everyone for an investigation? Does to me. All right, ladies, any final words before we wrap up for our queens of the paranormal? All right, Dr. Jason.
Just again, want to thank the Lions for the treat that we're all going to have later this spring. Someone mentioned a princess. Maybe that could be the costume.
Yes. I lost a bet is what he is referring to. And of course, our wagers dating well back into med school are punishment. The loser gets punished, and I'm going to be punished on this channel. I tell you guys what, we'll set a milestone. And if we ever get to a certain format, then maybe Jason and I will start to show some photos of past wagers gone wrong. But we'll leave that as a tease for the future. We love each and every one of you for watching. Please like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. We can't wait to see you soon. For your two favorite doctors of the paranormal. Have a good night.
Yep. See ya.
Expert and smart. Resolution. A year. Almost. Injured. Steady. Described. Think. Clear. European. Went well. And the fever. Also. Clear. The ball. Get it.
Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? It's the mining plant next to the haunted YMCA.